This is John for Global Traveler. Today I'm talking travel with versatile entertainer and good friend, David Vox Mullen. How are you, David?
I'm good, Johnny. Thanks for having me, man. I'm
Did you
looking
hear the
forward to
cheers in
chatting.
the background? For well, maybe we were just doing it, but either way. So you are a multi-talented entertainer.
That's
We'll
what
get,
you always say. I don't know if
well,
that's the truth.
I speak the truth. We'll get to all that. But like, when did you start? Like when we're kids, we all think we're entertaining. We all sing. We all tell jokes. When did you think that you could actually make a living out of it?
I'll let you know when that happens, John. No, I mean, yeah, we all, when we were kids, we wanted to be, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a rock star. I wanted to be Michael Jackson. I wanted to be, Bruce Springsteen and all that stuff. Obviously that tells you how old I am. And, yeah, I was going to do it. I was going to do it. And, nobody could tell me the other way. Um, and go all throughout high school I was a songwriter, and I was in the school newspaper, and I was writing music, and they had me perform for graduation stuff, and just this was my destiny. I was going to be a rock star. As soon as I finished high school, I went right to Nashville to get a record deal, and it was that's how it was going to be. Fast forward all these years, I am not a rock star.
Well, but in all fairness, you had some music success.
I did. So I'll condense it really quickly. After the Nashville thing fell apart, I quickly realized how much I didn't know, and came back home with my tails between my legs. I did put a band together, and then we did have a pretty successful run. You're right, John. I did get to rock and roll for about 10 years, um, and then I got out of that. That ended, and then I got into comedy. And so then comedy is really the thing that has really been lucrative for me as far as talent. So it's not exactly what I dreamed, but I think my dream at the core of it was to just be an entertainer, just to be on stage and have people pay attention to me, you know, because I'm a narcissist, and that's what all of us are. And so yeah, that was it. And so I found a way to finally, through trial and error, and bumps and kicks and bruises and scrapes, and just kind of learned what works and what doesn't work. And I've made a nice little career out of being a performer.
Well, when you were in process of deciding to then kind of transition a little bit into comedy instead,
Mhm.
was it the comedy that pulled you in, or were you kind of done with music and wanted to stay in the entertainment business and knew that you were a funny guy?
It's an interesting question. So when the band kind of fell apart, as they do, you know, I went pretty dark. I was pretty depressed. I had wrapped up a lot of my identity, and unfortunately a little bit of self-worth into the lead singer character of the band that I was in. And so when that was stripped away from me, seemingly instantly, I mean, I'm sure in the moment it was a long process, but in retrospect, it was pretty quick. And it felt like I was very lost and alone, and just didn't really, I know I had a loving, wonderful wife and a family, but it's just, we're narcissists, John. So if we don't have that monster being fed, there's a hole, and it's terrible. It's terrible. My poor family puts up with so much. But honestly, it was just a good friend was just like, man, you're naturally funny. You'd be good at this. You should do it. You should try it. And so I just said, fine, I'll try it. And, you know, relatively quickly, I got the bug. And I remember being on stage at one point realizing, oh, it's not the same, but I'm back on stage, and this feels good. And this was the driving force behind the music. I'm still a musician at heart. I still pick up the guitar or hop on the piano and play my heart out and write stuff. And as you know, I've released stuff even while as a comedian. I still
Yeah.
release, serious stuff. But I'm really having a good time doing the comedy and acting, and just having fun, expressing myself, expressing my art, my creativity, and hopefully my ability to just make people happy, which is at the core what I want. I want people to walk away going, that was good, that was fun, that was, that filled whatever void they had.
And
Just as much as it does for me when I see other entertainers.
Well, I say, I've been to a bunch of your shows and I do always walk away feeling happy. So in that respect, you're absolutely
That's
achieving
awesome.
your goal.
Thank you.
How long after you switched to comedy did it take you to be comfortable on stage, or did it come right away because you were already on stage?
So all my comedian friends hate me for this, but I was always comfortable on stage. I mean, I literally have spent 10 years touring the country, playing rock and roll. Being on stage, being in front of people, presenting like a damn peacock has never been a problem for me. Um, the ability to know the skill trade of being a comedian was the difficulty. That was the uncomfortable part. That was the hard part. And to this day, I still get butterflies before I go out on stage. Um, but now it's more about, do I know my material? Is my material good enough? Will they like it? Will they find my jokes funny? Things like that, is what come into play. But I also would say I lean very heavily into my improv training background. I mean, so there's also the element of you step out even though you're afraid. You step out in fear and you go out with nothing, and you can still build something. So knowing that I have that tool in my toolbox, I still prefer to write material, but when I have to lean on improvisation, I'm totally fine with it. Where a lot of my comedian colleagues, they can't handle it. They cannot handle it at all, and they'll blatantly admit it, like they hate improv, they can't do it. Yeah, and that's fine.
No, I've seen you be a host, a comedic host. I've seen you be I've seen you do improv. I've seen you do stand up as a main guy. I've seen you do opening acts. I've
Mhm.
seen you kind of be just an MC.
Yeah.
Are is any of those more difficult or more enjoyable for you?
Um, I think the paycheck is what's more enjoyable.
Okay,
I'm for a lack of professional term, I'm an entertainment whore. I will honestly, for the most part, I will say yes to pretty much anything if the project sounds fun, money's right, and it's justifiable for me to get up off my couch and put the gas in the car and put the miles on the car and leave my family. Then yeah, it's got to be worth it to me. And it doesn't have to be financially. Sometimes I have a good comedian buddy of mine, Tim Slagle, says I've driven further for less. So and that's and I when I heard that I was like, yeah, because there's shows that I'll do for a lot of money for a little bit of time, and then there's shows I'll do for a lot of time for a little bit of money, and it's just if the project is right and I'm drawn to the idea of what the promoter wants to put together and what the goal of the project is, whatever the show is, then yeah, I'll do it, and friends have stuff they want me to do for free. I'll do free stuff, here and there as long as I can.
sure.
So yeah, I mean I have found, and this is such a cliche, but the journey, not the destination, is the issue, right? That's where all the fun is. And so I just love planning and producing and performing and doing it. And it could all go away tomorrow. I could never get booked again and be done. And I have to be okay with that. But if I'm being honest, I'm not okay with that. I want to keep doing it. I want to keep
Well,
chasing it. I want to do this till I die, John.
well, that's what makes you good. You're not in
I
it for the 10 minutes of fame. You're in it for the
yeah,
long
yeah.
haul of fame.
I
But
love the posting about the upcoming shows and the talking with the venues and newspapers and all that stuff. That's fun. It would be nice to get a lot of money for that. I would like at least enough money to keep doing that. Got to eat, got to pay my mortgage, got to pay
sure.
my car insurance, all that stuff. So, that's the idea. But as long as I can, figure that out, I'm going to keep doing this thing.
Well, talking about your journey, do you pick places to, to perform sometimes just based on the place, like, oh, I want to go to, Cleveland for some reason.
Yeah, so it's a little bit it's a mixture. It's a mixture of that and just anybody who reaches out, really. I mean, once and it took me a while. I was a dad, I had kids. I did a lot of stuff locally in Chicago for a lot of years because it was easy and I had kids and I wanted to raise my kids. And I'm glad that I've done that. But my kids have now become adults and one of them has already moved off to another state and the other one is getting ready to fly soon. And so I just it's like it's okay, now it's time to be adventurous. And for the last 2 years, I've been doing the tour with Al Snow, as you know, and we've been going all over. And like with some of those, yeah, it was like in the winter we wanted to do California, and,
Smart.
stuff like that. We just have some fun. But for the most part, if you know, we're doing a show in June in Florida in St. Augustine, and it's like the worst time to do a show in Florida.
It's a little
Uh,
warm.
but the project is fun. It's a wrestling convention, and so we're going to be there the whole weekend. The show is Saturday night, and the offer was good. So it's like, yeah, I'll go to Florida in June for this. This looks like fun, and yeah, so that's the excitement of the traveling and doing that. But honestly, if you're in you know Texas and it's August, I'll still come down there if you really want me to perform. It'd be cooler in like December or January, but I'll whatever. I mean, I love performing more than I care about complaining about how cold or hot it is.
Is there any place, either city or venue, that you really want to, it's on your goal list to, I really want to perform there?
Well, I mean, I performed in Chicago, performed in LA, I performed in various other cities. I have not done stand up in New York City yet, so I would not mind a short little run in New York somewhere. I've done East Coast stuff. I've done stuff in Pittsburgh. I've done stuff in Delaware. I've done stuff in Maryland, DC, but not New York City proper. Been to New York City a bunch of times, just not as a performer. So like that would be just a bucket list check for me.
And when you're going to different cities, whether it's just you or you're with someone like Al or Michelle or anybody, aside from like political jokes or sports teams, do you tailor your act depending on the city? Like, will a Los Angeles act be different than a Chicago act?
Um, I mean, yes and no. I mean, I sometimes I will shift certain things in my act. Look, at the end of the day, um, comedians and magicians are liars, right? We tell lies. Sometimes we wrap some of the truths in lies, but we're lying. I can mention other industries that we both love, but I don't want to get anybody hot. So, like, we lie. You know what I mean? So it's easy to kind of take something that has a formulaic value and then kind of shift it a little bit. I often have a joke where I say, "Oh, I was just in Las Vegas last week, and I had this." I wasn't in Las Vegas last week. I was in Las Vegas, 3 months ago. But
Right.
but if I'm in, Tallahassee, I'm going to say I was in Vegas last week. They don't. Same thing. I was just in California. I haven't been in California since the winter. But so yeah, it's a lie, but doesn't matter. It's just to help create contextual awareness so that I can tell the jokes the way they need to be told. And then yeah. So to answer your question, yes, I do change it up. But I also try to find local stuff to talk about too. I mean, I have jokes where I get into about um, and I think a lot of that is harkens back to the improvisation background is, when I get to a city, I experience the city. So like I'm seeing the traffic, I'm seeing the food, I'm seeing the culture and the people around. And so that helps a lot. Um, I was doing a show in Seattle last fall, and I happened to just see a homeless guy on a stoop taking a dump right there, bare buck naked, just going. And I was like, this is something that only works in Seattle. I can't tell that joke in Chicago. It doesn't fit the same way. So yeah, just little things like that you tailor, but for the most part, it's pretty much the same material.
And when you're on the road, do you get a chance to see much sights, to do any sightseeing, to pick restaurants?
Yeah, sometimes no. It really just depends on how much time I have to myself between when I arrive. Um, a lot of the dream booking is a weekend at a comedy club. They fly you in the Thursday night before. The show is Friday night, Saturday night, and then you leave Sunday, right? That's the dream ideal booking. And so, I get there Thursday night. If it's not too late, maybe I'll explore some of the cuisine for dinner. If it's too late, then I just wait till the next morning because then I have that whole day of nothing, right? It's either sit in a hotel or go explore. So I usually go off and explore a little bit, just kind of see what the area has got, try to create, stories and things like that based on what's around me. I'm a big foodie, as you know. So like, anytime I could try, what do I get in Pittsburgh? What do I get in Seattle? What do and so like things like that, that's fun to me, just to try the local hits. Um, Sometimes when there's absolutely nothing to do, I learned this trick from Al Snow. Just go see a movie. Just go to the nearest movie theater and go catch a movie. It'll take a nice chunk of the day away, and it's a familiar, comfortable experience. So that if you ever get like that awkward, I'm all alone in another city I don't live in, there's a nice little comfortability of, oh well, it's the movie experience. I know this, and so that's a nice way to keep things kind of level. Um, but yeah, I mean, I try.
So what, name a couple favorite cities of yours that where you've already been, not necessarily
Um,
performance wise, just personal.
well, oh gosh, I mean, Memphis. I love performing in Memphis, right downtown. Love the food down there. Blues City Cafe, I think it was called. Some of the best ribs. There's a big debate is do you go to Rendezvous for ribs or do you go to this Blue City Cafe? I love the Blue City Cafe because Rendezvous does the dry rub, which is the Memphis style, fair enough. But the Blue City Cafe also does dry rub with the sauce on top, and it's like just the perfect mixture. I love it. Plus, the best pulled pork sandwich you're ever going to get is in Memphis with the coleslaw on top. I mean, as I said, I equate it with food. I love the food.
I hear
Um,
you.
Seattle was a fun trip. I'm getting ready to go back down there in September, down over up north. Um, and they have a Seattle dog. Now, being from Chicago, I was like, whoa, what's this? So I experienced my first Seattle dog, which comes with cream cheese on it, surprisingly. And
Oh,
it was pretty damn good, things like that. Like, what does your town have that you're proud of? I love that stuff. Obviously, New York, I mean, I get pizza and stuff like that. California, I love the seafood out there by the coast. Oh, so stuff like that. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't look. My favorite city is Chicago. It will always be Chicago. I am born, raised, bred, White Sox, South Side, black and white. That's me. Um, you know, California has beautiful weather no matter when you're there. But yeah, Chicago is home, so it's still my favorite city. But
you
I've
were
also not really left the country to perform. I wouldn't mind going to Canada. I wouldn't mind going to Europe and get some of those experiences too.
sure. Are you a researcher or are you a play it by ear type guy when you go to a different city for food?
So I would say a little bit of both. A little bit of both. Sometimes, I mean, for the most part, I kind of take it easy, and kind of just I'm a big Bill Murray fan, and he lives the gimmick of improv, of yes and. He literally wakes up in the morning, puts his clothes on, gets out of bed, and walks out his front door, picks a direction, and goes. And then whatever happens in his life, he just goes with it. And I would love to have the kind of money that I can do that. And that to me is the goal when I get older. I want to be able to get up, walk out of my house, and just go and just see where it takes me, and just enjoy. Dude goes to people's college parties and goofs off and goes to bars and just whatever. And that's very much the improv yes and lifestyle, and I very much would love to be able to do that. Until then, I'll check out the internet. I'll say, where are cool places to eat in Portland, or where's the what's the hot thing to do in I don't know, Cleveland, or whatever. So I try to do that sort of thing wherever I go. Was just in Indianapolis a couple of weeks ago, legitimately a couple of weeks ago.
So you're
And
not lying this time.
yeah, yeah. And then we went down there. It was on a Monday, and it was after 5 o'clock, and like all of the bars and restaurants closed at 5 o'clock, and I was like, "What is going on?" Like it felt very like Walking Dead-ish. It was weird. We found one bar that stayed open after 5, and so that was the bar we went to. I don't know if it was the best bar in town, but it was certainly the best bar that was open
That's
at
all
five
it counts
o'clock.
at the time.
Right, right. So yeah, but yeah, stuff like that is. But it's an adventure and it's a story. It's something that I have a memory of, and I'm glad that I have it.
Well, before I let you go, what projects are you working on? What's David Vox Mullen up to these days?
Well, stand up is the main goal right now. My main focus is to try to produce my stand up special this year. I don't fully know if I have it ready, and nor do I have an idea which venue I want to do it in, because that's all a very big part of it. But that is the first big top priority for the year, is to try to get something filmed, and then shop it around, see if anybody's interested in buying it, or just release it on YouTube or whatever. But that is the goal. And then once I do that, I got to write new stuff, so got to start from scratch.
Well, tell everybody where they could find out more information about you.
Absolutely. My name, David Vox Mullen, is the brand. So davidvoxmullen.com is my website. All of my social media handles are at David Vox Mullen, DavidVoxMullen. And yeah, anything you're on, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X, TikTok, Snapchat, OnlyFans, whatever. David Vox Mullen, that's the one.
I'm
And
not touching that last one.
well,
Made that
edit.
mistake. No. David, really, it's been a pleasure, man. I've been friends with you for a long time. I've
Oh,
seen
a
you
lot of
act,
years. Yeah.
like I said, I've seen you do comedy in many stages and many facets. It's always a good time, and I love going to your shows. And I appreciate your friendship and I appreciate your time now.
Johnny, the feeling is absolutely mutual. I love having you in my life, and I'm so proud of the work that you do as well. And I just want nothing but the best for you. So anytime you want me to jump on anything, I'll come running for you, buddy.
Well, when you get that special going, we're gonna ask for an update, my friend.
Yes, you got it. And you'll have tickets. I give you my word.
Sweet. In the back row like last time?
Well, I have no control over that. You got to get there
See, I
fast.
shouldn't try comedy with a comic, with a comedian. It never, it's
Yeah,
just
I'm just gonna respond to what you said, right? For everybody watching, that was a lie. I did not put Johnny in the back of the
No, he
house.
did not. Actually, I sat in the front row at Zany's downtown
Yeah, that was a
for an
great show.
awesome
A
show, and
lot
I
of fun.
appreciate that. David, thank you very much for your time and good
Thank you,
luck,
Johnny.
sir.
Thank you as well. Thank you so much.